And with that, we're back to normal speed and going to the next town, which means that Garm is going to start getting on the scoreboard. True, but considering the average trainers we've been running into, we don't need to think things through all that much. Though I'm fairly sure if I actually lived in the Pokemon world that I would be just another forgettable scrub for some ace to tear through. Oh, well done! You disabled a move that would have been completely useless in this battle anyway. Anyway, welcome to the scoreboard, Garm. Considering how late we got you, I doubt you'll be a top scorer for the team. Though I am curious when you're gonna beat Mig's score of 22, and if you'll ever get over Nim's score of 50.5. Okay, clearly Mucks are a lot more durable than Grimers. Not really a surprise in and of itself, just that I don't see how a sentient mass of gunk could somehow become more capable of shrugging off damage. Of course, I also don't see why it is that the guys who tend to talk about strategy around here tend to give themselves very few options to work with. Oh, if you think that's bad, then you really wouldn't like to know I had a Pokemon that could probably one-shot your entire team. Sorry, but there's not all that much point thinking about your strategy when you had a team of 3 poison types all in the same evolutionary line. A line of 2. Especially when 2 of those Pokemon were the same damn form and brought exactly as much to the table, I swear. Well, sometimes I kind of feel like a bully in this game, other times I just can't find it in me to have any sympathy for the random trainers we run into. Huh. They're literally lining up for us. You do know that Nidoran female could have turned into a Nidorina by now, right? Just how many trainers have we run into that under-evolved their Pokemon anyway? Well, at least this girl didn't just have an unevolved Nidoran male to go along with the unevolved female. Doesn't make up for the fact that she's only got 2 Pokemon, but at least one is actually a decent amount stronger than the other, even if they're the same level. Because you're facing someone who's got a larger team that's higher leveled than yours. Don't worry, we'll make sure the rest of your friends know what it's like to lose as well. That said, saying Pokemon get ugly when they evolve is kind of objective. Sure, when a Charmander evolves all the way to Charizard, it's not as cute as it used to be. But not only does it look tougher and awesome enough to be put on the cover of the game, it also becomes stronger. Now, I will grant that there are reasons to want to avoid evolving a Pokemon for a while. Maybe there are moves that are exclusive to the younger form for some reason. But not letting your Pokemon grow up because you preferred its younger look? That doesn't really work well for me, especially when Pokemon battles are such a big part of society in this world. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking things again. Anyway, With that, Garm has officially entered the ace side of the team. His 5th win is the 287th of this playthrough. Not exactly a number that you typically see a lot of fireworks for, but still felt worth mentioning. I wonder how all the Pokemon that haven't actually seen action in a while feel about getting healed this often. It's not like Pokemon centers let you pick and choose who in your team gets back to perfect condition. It's either every Pokemon in your party at the time gets healed, or none of them do when you go in there. Sure, it's free, and as we saw at the beginning of the game, when we had a bare few members of the team, it doesn't really speed things up more to have 1 or 6 balls on the healing disc. That's just what struck me in that particular moment. Well, she did mention Meowth before the fight started. No surprise that's her first one out. Excuse me for hoping all 3 of her Pokemon aren't the same kind of cat. Welcome to level 28, Garm. The only member of our team that isn't at that level right now is Takanabori, and that's not gonna do this poor girl's cats any favors. Yeah. The sea serpent's bite is a lot harsher than the cat with a coin on its head. What a surprise. Right, so all 3 were Meowths. Not surprising, but part of me can't help thinking that it should have been more Pokemon, like maybe give her a Persian or something. Well then, why don't you have any of those on your team? They wouldn't give you much in terms of type coverage, but at least you'd have more visual variety in your team, if nothing else. And no, you don't look silly just standing around in the middle of nowhere. A lot of trainers in the world just stand around, waiting for the ultra-competent hero to kick their asses. And they continue to stand there, even after they lose. Well, this one has different lines of Pokemon at least, even if both that we've seen so far are unevolved. And she's got a solid number on her belt, too. Not that the number really means much when we're one-shotting them like this. Well, that feeding time let Takanabori level up, that's something. Too bad there's not all that much to note from this girl, despite the fact that she's one of the few that we've run across that has 5 out of 6 slots filled. Yeah, kinda figured it'd be relatively appropriate to feed the next enemy cat to our dog. Well, that's one Pokemon we're not throwing Takanabori at, even if he'd probably be able to one-shot that one, too. Yeah, poor little mouse just didn't stand a chance. Maybe I'd have a different opinion of Pikachu's if I'd played yellow as a kid instead of red and blue. I'm afraid there are a lot of people that level of mean in this world. They'll keep you from making progress just for the sheer sake of being an inconvenience, not even because they have a legitimate reason to stop you from moving forwards. And just how many sides do these dice have? Okay, we don't see too many of those, despite the fact that it's one of the cuter Pokemon. Well, if he's gonna throw a bunch of water types at us, we may as well send out our anti-water expert. Can't help feeling it would have been better if this guy had a Poliwrath instead, just to really screw with us. Sorry, Froggy, but this is one fight you just can't win. Not with the combination of a level and type disadvantage like this. Still, he's more durable than I was expecting. Kind of hoping we run into regular trainers with very durable Pokemon like this Poliwhirl and the Muck from earlier from here on out, but we'll see. It was less a matter of muck and more that you had little to no chance against us, period. Yeah, just because the way to Saffron is shut doesn't mean there's nowhere to go from here. Kind of wish there was some explanation for why those people waiting are so set on going to Saffron instead of anywhere else. But then the explanation for why the road that way is blocked off is as simple as, I'm thirsty. And so, of course, they aren't going to give a better explanation for people just standing in one spot for the rest of the game. After all, they haven't given a token explanation for most of the trainers in the game anyway. Definitely glad we could take that ball out before it could shoot any electricity at us. As a side note, Darkanabori is getting pretty close to taking the top spot on the scorecard here. 49 wins on his belt, while Phyllis has 49.5 and Nim's still barely holding on to the top there with 50.5. Neo's all the way back at 24, but hey, he managed to hit the landmark overall team win of 300. And he managed to outscore Mig's respectable final tally of 22. That's gotta be worth some applause, right? Sorry, but it doesn't matter how much you try to lower our defenses. This is not a nut you're gonna be able to crack, especially with electric types. And that does it, another trainer defeated. You'd think with the sheer number of trainers we defeat that sooner or later our reputation would precede us when we get to the next town. But no, with the exception of Giovanni, who we actually do fight multiple times over the game, every other gym leader we come across is going to act like we're still wet behind the ears and that we're just another forgettable challenger to them until we manage to beat them. Ugh. If the Celadon store is that amazing, why isn't there more traffic going there instead of the Saffron? Is it just the fact that it's notably the only town in the region that is explicitly under the control of Team Rocket or something? Are you talking about a second Snorlax, or is that the same one we bumped into earlier on? Right. Nothing much to the outside of Celadon here. Literally just one patch of grass and another blocked entrance to Saffron City. Welcome to the Generation 1 Mob Town, Celadon City. Pretty cheery music considering the mob openly runs some of the most notable things in it. I wonder how Erica, the gym leader for this city, feels about being associated with Team Rocket's headquarters. I don't think in the game's continuity she's on the payroll of the Rockets. She certainly had no connection with them in the anime. She just had a side business of selling perfume. There was a bit of a bullshit reason why Ash couldn't just challenge her right off the bat, but overall I kinda like what they did with the character there. And in the manga, she was one of the gym leaders fighting against Team Rocket, not one of the ones that were part of the organization. Though there was a moment where you probably could have wondered if she was a villain when she threatened to kill a genetically modified Eevee. Speaking of Eevees, time for us to grab one that just happens to be laying around waiting for us. I believe it's in this building. Yeah, there it is. No battle, no ceremony of any kind, just pick it up from a random desk that you might possibly not know even exists. Bit of a shame that I won't be using Eevee in this playthrough. I like it, especially I like two of its possible evolutions. Jolteon and Umbreon. Getting an Umbreon is a bit of a pain in the ass though. Partly because it doesn't exist at all in the first generation, and partly because it involves two things that will not be introduced until the second generation. Your friendship score with your Eevee needs to be pretty high, and it needs to have been leveled up with said friendship rating during nighttime for you to get Umbreon. Yeah, so despite the fact that Umbreon is pretty damn good, more often than not I tend to just go for Jolteon since it's faster to get with just a simple Thunderstone. As a side note, I've got no idea what's funnier to me at the moment. The fact that I managed to misspell the word potential when writing the name for that Eevee that we're never going to take out of the box, or the fact that the guy in there literally wrote, "I know everything," just outside the door to his room. Both kind of feel a little chuckle-worthy to me. But then 38 clips into this game, I might be just getting a little bit punch-drunk, even with the break I took at a random point during it in order to finish off Metroid Samus Returns. It's also rather possible I might take another break in this game once we're done with the 4th gym to get to Super Metroid. I'm pretty hungry to keep going with that series, even if I got a little fatigued going through the official remake so soon after doing the fan remake of the same chronological events. When I think of mansions, I don't typically imagine very tall buildings. Usually I think of rather wide areas that are essentially like palaces into themselves. Well, that's a very generous friend you have there. Is there a reason that Clefairy is the only Pokemon that seemed to get its own very distinct-looking body type for the overworld, while the other Pokemon, got something more generic? I mean, you got the generic bird, and then you got the generic everything else. Okay, nothing special in the Game Freak meeting room. Possibly because they were drinking themselves into a stupor in gleeful shock that their game took off the way it did. Especially since, technically speaking, there are a lot better role-player games out there when this was made, but this franchise turned into the most successful. I'm sorry, but this bare-bones story isn't something to be especially proud of. pretty sure there was more than one programmer trying to cram everything into the Game Boy's little cartridge space. All coming back to him with a full Pokédex would get us is a certificate that we got it done. A certificate that can't be taken off the save file, and the original cartridges could only house one save. That's not even a reward worth working for. That is literally just, you actually managed to get it done? Yay! That is just far too much work for far too little reward at the end in my book. That doesn't change in any of the future games either, as far as I hear. If Celadon is supposed to be a city with a rainbow of dreams, why is it named after a grayish-green color? And I'm pretty sure our screen is showing a different shade of green than what Celadon actually is. But I suppose it's hard to nitpick about color things like this, when the game was made before the Game Boy Color was even a thing. We should just be grateful that there's any color differentiation at all going around here, as I'm emulating the damn game. Well, the only way we're getting a flute is if we save Mr. Fuji in Lavender Town. And the only way that's gonna happen is if we grab the frickin' Silph Scope from this town. Bit more convoluted than it probably needed to be. Anyway, this is about as good a stopping point as any. Until next time.